1945, February. Cold War begins. Rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union for control over the post-war world emerged before World War II had even ended. US Presidents Franklin D. Roosevelt and Harry S. Truman and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin never really trusted one another, even while working together to defeat the Nazis. This mutual mistrust actually began as far back as 1917, when the United States refused to recognize the new Bolshevik government after the Russian Revolution. Stalin also resented the fact that the United States and Great Britain had not shared nuclear weapons research with the Soviet Union during the war, and was unhappy with the country's initial unwillingness to engage the Germans on a second front, in order to take pressure off the Soviets. Stalin intended to destroy German industrial capabilities in order to prevent the country from remilitarizing, and wanted Germany to pay outrageous sums in war reparations. Moreover, he wanted to erect pro-Soviet governments through the Eastern Europe to protect the USSR from any future invasions. Truman, however, wanted exactly the opposite. He believed that only industrialization and democracy in Germany and throughout the continent would ensure post-war stability. Unable to compromise or find common ground, the world's two remaining superpowers inevitably clashed. In 1946, Winston Churchill delivers his Iron Curtain speech. 1949, the Soviets explode first atomic bomb. 1957, Sputnik launched into orbit.
If we are attacked by nuclear weapons, these are the warning sounds you must recognize. First, the attack warning. Next, the fallout warning. When fallout is expected, you will hear 3 bangs in short succession. They will be sounded by means of maroons like this.
We have to coexist on our planet.
Or you may hear 3 gongs like this.
The Soviet Union and its allies have
Or 3 whistles like this. These all mean that fallout is expected. Warnings of the attack and of fallout will also be broadcast. When the immediate danger of air attack or fallout has passed, the siren will sound a steady note like this. If you cannot reach home in 10 minutes, take cover in the nearest building. If there is no building nearby, try to find some solid cover. If there is no solid cover, lie flat in a ditch or a hole and cover your head, face and hands as fast as you can with some of your clothes. If you hear the fallout warning,
sacred right of every human.
Seek the nearest and best cover as quickly as you can. But before entering the building or cover, brush or shake off any fallout dust you may have picked up and get rid of it. Change your outer clothing if you can. Stay under cover.
To simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding, and thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong, and good and evil.
The most widespread danger from nuclear explosions is
from Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe: Warsaw, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Belgrade and Sofia. All these famous cities and the population around them lie in what I must call the Soviet sphere, and all are subject in one form or another, not only to Soviet influence, but to a very high and in some cases increasing measure of control from Moscow. In a great number of countries, far from the Russian frontiers and throughout the world, communists' fifth columns are established and work in complete unity and absolute obedience to the directions they receive from the communism. In a great number of countries, far from the Russian frontier and throughout the world, communist fifth columns are established and work in complete unity and absolute obedience to the directions they receive from the communist centre. Except in the British Commonwealth and in the United States, where communism is in its infancy, the communist parties or fifth columns constitute a growing challenge and peril to Christian civilizations. I do not believe that Soviet Russia desires war. What they desire is the fruits of war and the indefinite expansion of their power. From what I have seen of our Russian friends and allies during the war, I am convinced that there is nothing they admire so much as strength, and there is nothing for which they have less respect for than weakness, especially military weakness. For that reason, the old balance of power is unsound. We cannot afford, and if we can help it, to work on narrow margins, offering temptations to a trial of strength. No power in the world can bear another world war, so we must not let it happen again. This can only be achieved by reaching now, in 1946, a good understanding on all points with Russia under the general authority of the United Nations Organization, and by the maintenance of that good understanding through many peaceful years by the whole strength of the English-speaking world and all its connections. An iron curtain is drawn down upon their front. We do not know what is going on behind.